Thanks, everybody. All right, by a show of hands, how many of you have either donated to a food bank, volunteered at a food bank, or maybe even benefited from a food bank at a time of need? Wow, that's excellent. So you're probably all familiar with the basic mission of a food bank, which is to take in surplus food and to support people in need. And there are a lot of people in need right now. We are in a cost of living crisis in this country and in this state in particular. And there are a lot of not just poor and working class individuals and families, but middle class families as well that are relying on support sometimes and looking for support where they can find it. The budget of a nonprofit is not much different from a struggling family in that they are always trying to reduce their overhead and costs in order to reduce their reliance on outside help, outside donations. Another function of a food bank that I was less familiar with is the role they play in disaster relief. And food bank, not just locally, but as part of a regional network, they provide a critical backstop in cases of natural disasters and emergencies. And as we've seen and other presenters have explained and through personal experience, these disasters can happen to anyone at any time, and it really doesn't matter what your income level is. If you just logistically can't find something to eat, it's a terrible situation. So, by the way, I'm David Hasenford. I'm with Wicks Roofing and Solar. We're a local contractor on the Central Coast. We serve the whole Central Coast from Malibu to Paso Robles. And what I do is I design and budget and execute projects just like the one I'm going to show you today. I absolutely love my job, so it's really a great pleasure for me to be invited and to meet a lot of new people here who that we can collaborate with and to share this project with you. So let's get into that project. The food bank of Santa Barbara County, a couple years ago, they acquired this property in Goleta, very close to here, and started renovations. Our company was selected to install the new roof on the warehouse, and since that time, I've been in touch with the consultant for the facilities renovation, Trent Lyon, about solar PV on the rooftop. Originally, this was end of 2022, beginning of 2023, so net metering 2.0, full net metering essentially was still on the table. We weren't really talking about microgrids so much, and they'd already had put a deposit down for a large diesel generator for backup. So as the solution developed, though, as the conversation developed, we did come to the conclusion that a battery microgrid would be the ideal solution with a smaller diesel generator for tertiary support, as long as it became financially viable. So we started to go in that direction. Let me talk about how that solution developed. Basically, on the left is the warehouse building before the new roof. On the right is the administration and office building. And we were originally just targeting the warehouse, where we figured that the most critical infrastructure and the bulk of the consumption would be. We actually found, once it went live, that they were consuming a lot less energy than what we'd anticipated, by about half. So then we decided that it would actually unlock a lot of value because we were able to then tie in the office get rid of the office meter and essentially run that service off of the service at the warehouse. So that's when we started building the load profile for this. Next step in that was, of course, EVs. How many of you have an EV at home? A lot of hands in this room, right? So what happened when you installed a charger at your house? The power demand went up, right? So we had to add that load profile in. Special thanks to Craig at Clean Coalition for supporting us with creating a load profile for EVs. And remember I said that this is part of a regional network, so that's critically important. We're going to have between 4 and 6 bobtails. So we modeled this based on the Freightliner EM2. So with that, we created a load analysis and modeled the ideal system. So basically, this is what we're projecting the load to look like, and then to model the right system to basically offset those costs and then also provide significant support in a battery outage. We've got 400 kilowatt PV system, 410 kilowatts, and a 500 kilowatt energy storage system with the microgrid controls. So this is what the load profile and should look like afterwards. I've met someone from Energy Toolbase whose software this is here today, so thank you very much for what you guys did. This line on the top is the battery state of charge, so you can see that it doesn't really get ever that much below 50%, which is ideal because we want this to not just supply power for self-consumption and peak shaving, but also be able to run the facility in an outage. So with that accomplished, let's look at the financials. On the lower, is it lower left or lower right for you guys? We have a positive net present value, so that's great. It basically essentially means the project is penciling out. But you can also see in the upper middle that is greatly affected and it's a huge contributor to that is the total incentive. So that's essentially the refundable tax credit. Also, a number I want to share with you, if you can squint, it's $130,000 of annual electrical bill savings. So that's really the most important number here, because as a nonprofit, there really isn't any return on investment. It's not like we pay the donors back with their electrical bill savings. But what do we think of when we give money to a cause or to somebody like our kids or someone on the street or NPR or Wikipedia? I'll tell you what I think of, which is, when is this going to end? And what Trent from the food bank explained to me is that donors are willing to invest in infrastructure that's going to reduce dependence on future donations. And so that number is really important because what they want to see is that they're going to invest in something that's not going to cost more money down the road, but reduce their dependence on donations. So that's what we're getting at here. Also keep in mind that we're replacing fuel costs for the fleet and for the diesel generator. So challenges for the project, obviously political situations changing, but I think we got a pretty solid plan. So as long as the refundable tax credit stays, we're in good shape. Pricing is going to increase dramatically, could be a problem. Procurement timeline, and we still haven't. This still isn't a closed deal, but I really am grateful for the opportunity to present this here because it really helped me tie this together, and I feel like we're ready to present this to the board. So, what I want to get out of this workshop, just want to collaborate with everybody in the room to find out how to strengthen the value proposition here, and then also other projects like this moving forward.